Welcome to Midweek Connection. I am so happy to be with you this evening. Thank you for being in this space. I'm coming to you from another room in our house because there's construction going on right near us, and there's a whole lot of nail guns that you would hear going off this evening. They're taking advantage of the daylight savings time that we just came through and working on into the evenings while there's still some sunshine. And we are in the sunshine capital of the world, it seems. Just wanted to share a few things with you this evening. I'm not going to hold you for long. I know I typically say that, but it's really true this evening. I want to share with you a little bit about understanding the power of truly living a life that is flexible, understanding a little bit the different levels of consciousness in terms of realizing that consciousness could sort of be measured in different ways. It can appear in different ways, not measured as much as appear in different ways. Consciousness can show up as our physical bodies. It can manifest as our physical bodies. Consciousness can be experienced in some ways as our thoughts, because, ultimately consciousness, the Tao, pure presence, that's the force of life itself. In fact, it's kind of just like water. In fact, I would say it this way: just as water can exist in three very distinct states, all of us know this. Water can be solid, it can be liquid, it can be gaseous. Consciousness can also show up in various forms. We can start to understand, and consciousness can really be understood in various forms. It can be frozen in physical matter. So in that way, it's kind of like ice. It can, when it's frozen in that way, it's embodying the tangible reality that we live with, these bodies here that are tangible and touchable. It can also be in liquid form, kind of flowing freely, just like our thoughts and our emotions. It can also exist in a formless state. And to me, the formless state is what represents pure consciousness itself. And this formless consciousness is the essence of life, preceding or prior to manifestation. It's the fundamental energy that animates all of existence. And so when we're talking about spirit, we understand that we can see the manifestation of it in the physical form. We utilize the tool of the thinking to be a part of the manifestation. But ultimately, the greatest power is that invisible, ethereal, mystical power of the spirit and the presence, pure presence. To me, when I speak of pure consciousness, I'm referring to the state that transcends all of the boundaries and the limitations of the physical form. In other words, it is the essence of life that perceives the world through your eyes, because at the core of your being, consciousness is your true identity. And it is not the eyes that are seeing as much as I am seeing through these eyes. And see, that realization that you are inherently connected to the vast openness and the web of existence allows you to start to see yourself reflected in everything around you. You start to see you show up. Reverend Ike used to say, the only person you ever come in contact with is you in a different form. In this state of awareness, in this understanding of awareness, clarity of perception starts to prevail, which gives us the ability to become a little more impervious to just the physical world that we live in. It brings us into that space of enlightenment. You are liberated from the confines of your past. Your past is no longer a burden, so you're not burdened by the heavy history or herstory that serves merely as a filter through which all of our experiences are interpreted. As I've mentioned to you before, this brain captures memories and then it tries to process every experience that you have and tell you what to think about it. And it's only doing that through previous experiences. But when you understand that ultimately you are true pure consciousness that's showing up in human form, you're liberated. To me, in this liberated state, perception, how I'm perceiving things, becomes untainted. It's not contaminated by judgment. We lose the judgments. We let go of preconceived notions about life, about circumstances, and about people we come in contact with. To me, when you allow yourself to perceive without interpretation, without judgment, without preconceived ideas, you awaken to this very subtle but so powerful awareness of what it is that is actually perceiving. The I that I'm talking about, who I really am. The limits of our language can only hint at this profound and powerful experience. We can say that there exists a field of alert stillness, a serene backdrop against which perception unfolds. It is within this space, this serene and tranquil space, that you can truly sense the act of perceiving itself. Instead of the thing you're perceiving, you're keenly aware of the reality, the fact, the truth that you are perceiving versus what is perceived. This is what the Tao means by being connected to the Tao rather than the manifestation of the Tao. It could be what St. Paul was talking about when he talked about people worshiping the creation more than the creator. A lot of people thought that meant that he was saying that it's a sin to idolize human beings or other people. I think he's talking about something much more mystical than that. The mystery is being able to understand that I am the awareness, not the situation I am aware of. And this transcends and causes me to transform and be able to look at my circumstances, my situation, and even other people and the things that are happening in the world from a different vantage point. Through your unique lens, formless consciousness has come to a profound realization of its own self. You start to realize that you are that awareness, that you're cognizant of that the awareness itself becomes cognizant of its own existence. And that powerful recognition, as we call it recognition, that recognition is the bridge that connects the individual person, you, and the individual experience to the universal essence. And so in this way, consciousness is not merely just a passive observer, it is an active participant in the unfolding of reality. It's a vibrant expression of the infinite potential that exists within the universe. And this, to me, the most important thing we're doing in our spiritual journey is the journey of self-discovery. And when we are engaged in awareness, we are conscious, we are self-realized, self-actualized. We know that the journey of self-discovery becomes our pathway, not only to understanding yourself, but to recognizing the interconnectedness of all of life. So there are different forms of consciousness. It can be frozen as physical matter. It exists liquid like thoughts and emotions. It exists also formlessly as pure consciousness. I am all three happening all at once. And this is the powerful essence of life. Formless state represents life's essence and the energy that is animating all of existence. That formless space is the spirit. It's just like Wayne Dyer said. He said, doctors who do fantastic brain surgeries have never been able to, they can locate the part of the brain that activates speech. They can locate the part of the brain that activates smell and moving your hand and the other actions and mobilities, but they've never been able to access and actually be able to see the animating force, the one who is animating. That's the pure consciousness, the pure presence that you are. Pure consciousness transcends physical boundaries. When we start to live from pure consciousness, we start to realize in real time our limitless potential. See, recognizing this connection provides clarity and it provides liberation and freedom from all of the past burdens. As I mentioned a moment ago, you start to have an unbiased perception. You get free from the limitations of your past and your experiences. It's untainted perception. It's free from judgment. And so then you're able to stop perceiving the world through the cloud of the lens that's been conditioned. You stop experiencing those events in your life through a false narrative, because clarity becomes a part of your perception. Perception is an experience, and as an experience, sensing the act of perceiving reveals a beautiful, serene, that word just keeps coming to mind today, serene, peaceful, still backdrop to all of your experiences. So the perception as experience, recognizing not just what I'm perceiving, but the perceiver itself, causes a serene backdrop. It gives you a sense of stillness. You can start to live in that stillness. And then there's a realization of formless consciousness. Through individuals, formless consciousness realizes itself. I am consciousness realizing itself. It has been said before that God created humanity in its own likeness and image so that it could experience form as the formless. And what happens is when you wake up to this as your reality, that you are God in the flesh, you are divine presence, there's a bridge built between the individual experience and the universal essence. When that bridge is built and that awareness comes into view, you become an active participant. So there's active participation now because I have that bridge. Consciousness participates in the unfolding of the reality. Consciousness highlights the interconnectedness of all of life. And from that consciousness, from that experience, self-discovery happens. And I end up on a self-discovery journey. And this then gives me the ability to start understanding myself, the one that I've called myself, and the universe, and the interconnectedness of all of it. So just like water can be frozen so it can be solid, it's also liquid flowing like thoughts and emotions. It also can be gaseous, which is the mystery. And this is the invitation that I believe spirituality is to get, to not just be caught up in the fluid and not just be caught up in the solid, but to get into the mystery, the mist of pure presence. Then once you activate that and you become awake and aware of your true and authentic, pure conscious essence, you bridge the gap between heaven and earth. Then there's a merging. And I believe that's what we're in the process of doing as humanity. We're in the process of transcending, outgrowing, conquering, no longer being slaves to the thinking mind. And as we transcend, as we do that, we're going to transform the human experience and expression. This is the next wave of human evolution. I firmly believe that we are transcending the thinking mind, and as a result, transforming our experiences and transforming our expression. Because now we have a clear perception of what is true. Imagine the earth being filled with a bunch of human beings who have become God realized. Imagine the earth being filled with a bunch of human beings who have awakened the truth of their identity, being their divinity. Connecting those dots, bridging that in all of its beautiful forms and possibilities. So as you transcend and you transform, as you awaken to the reality that the divine presence, that pure presence that is within you, looks on all of your situations without judgments, without preconceived ideas, because it is pure consciousness. When you recognize that, then you begin to understand yourself in this human and psychological form and its direct connection to the universe. And as a result of that, you can live in the frozen state of the physical. You can live in the flowing state of the thoughts and feelings, but you can also live fully in the beauty of the mystery, the mist. Folks, I think this is life-changing when we really recognize it and we're able to drop off all of those judgments. I mean, one of the reasons that we have so much suffering in the world, and I know I've shared this with you before, many others have. Eckhart Tolle talks about this, Mooji talks about this, Byron Katie talks about this, Dr. Wayne Dyer talked about this when he said that the difference between a flower and a weed is a judgment. The difference between suffering and not suffering also is a judgment. Most of us are exhausted because we keep fighting against reality. We keep fighting against what is instead of falling in love with what is. When you get to the place where you can love what is, then you transcend the trap of the stories that you tell about the situations. And that's how we end up living from pure consciousness, because we stop being judgmental in our story about whatever it is that we believe we're experiencing. So this is the invitation. I encourage us to move into a much deeper level of understanding who we truly are, so that we can understand ourself in this human form and our interconnectedness with the universe. Why do we continue to talk about this so much? Because I believe that we are on the verge. We're on the edge of the greatest evolution in the history of human systems. I believe that we are on the verge of the greatest awakening that we've ever read about or talked about. And I believe we're on the verge of an absolute change. We all know that it's the end of the world as we've known it. And now it is time for us to construct a new, more perfect, more loving, more compassionate, more equal, more inclusive world than has ever been constructed in the annals of time. Nothing's ever been written yet that is this awesome and amazing. I firmly believe that, and we are a part of that sacred shift, that sacred uptick and upgrade. We get to be a part of it, and I invite you into it. Okay, I said I wasn't going to hold you for long. So far, I think I've only gone about 18 minutes. So I love you, my friends. I hope you will have a wonderful evening. Join us for meditation in the morning. Now go and make it a great day, because you can.